Okay, so today's story is from Mr. Ito's book. It's on our website as well. The word philosophy is a translation of the Greek word philosophia, which means to love or philo, wisdom, sophia. Philosophy is the pursuit of truth. The man who literally put his life on the line for philosophy was Socrates in ancient Greece. Socrates believed that one's soul is the most important thing to know, and he continued his search for what it means to live well. No matter who they were, he challenged anyone to a debate, exposing their ignorance and discrediting them. He was later sentenced to death due to public resentment. Socrates himself did not write a single book, but his disciple Plato wrote about 30 dialogues with Socrates as the main character and conveyed the ideas of his teacher. His voluminous writings are the source of the entire Western philosophy, and Plato is said to be the greatest philosopher that mankind has ever produced. In the Middle Ages, the Bible became the supreme authority, and it was said that philosophy is the servant of theology, and philosophy became a tool for understanding Christianity. Eventually, the separation of Christianity and philosophy progressed, and Descartes, the father of modern philosophy, appeared in France. Descartes did not rely on existing books, but started from scratch and tried to reach the truth using only his own rational mind. Descartes tried to prove God's existence in his writings, but it is not certain that he really believed in God. Pascal, a French thinker of the same period, vehemently accused Descartes of merely using God to justify his theories. Pascal was also a scientist and accomplished in many fields. It was the Dutch-born Spinoza who, while criticizing Descartes, worked to solve the problems left by him. After his death, he was labeled an atheist for a long time, and his main book, Ethica, was banned. The prevailing philosophy from Socrates to Descartes was to believe that truth can only be known by quote unquote rational mind. However, the English philosopher Locke argued that the mind of a baby is a blank slate and that knowledge is born from experience of seeing and hearing various things. The Scottish philosopher Hume was a thoroughgoing skeptic and made a fundamental criticism of conventional philosophy, which greatly influenced the German philosopher Kant. Kant was the greatest philosopher of the 18th century, uniting the continental rationalism of Descartes and Spinoza with the English empiricism of Locke and Hume. Hegel, the German philosopher who developed the ideas of Kant, boldly stated that the history of philosophy was over with his philosophical system. Some people believe that contemporary philosophy has not yet surpassed Hegel's, and he is considered to have completed it. Hegel's lectures at the University of Berlin were always packed, and the other professors tried to avoid overlapping lecture times. But there was one person who deliberately taught his class at the same time. It was the German philosopher Schopenhauer. His major work, The World as Will and Representation, is known to have had a profound influence on Nietzsche. Like Nietzsche, who proclaimed that God is dead, the French philosopher Sartre started his philosophy with God does not exist. He insisted that God did not create us, but that our choices and actions make us who we are. He also left behind some excellent novels and plays and was selected for the Nobel Prize in Literature, but turned it down. Okay, very good. So a lot of philosophy here. Yeah. There are a lot of philosophers in the Western civilization at the start of it, especially. Um, yeah, because there's a lot of ambiguity. Actually, in the Eastern culture, when Buddha was living, during that time or later, there are no philosophers like so many here and there popping up. Um, yeah, one thing is Buddhism does not teach about the existence of creator, and the focus is on our karma, creating our fate or destiny. Yeah, so it's in a sense it's simpler because it's up to each person